Okay, so let's get started. Welcome all again. Thank you everyone for joining us today. This is Duygu and I'll be hosting the meeting, and we have our dear panelists with us today. So as you all know, the COVID-19 pandemic continues to affect our lives despite of the fact that its spread has slowed down. During this pandemic, many businesses have been affected negatively, and even some businesses were shut down temporarily. But at the same time, some businesses are gaining more importance, and in fact, some are becoming vital. And waste collection and recycling are two of those. These operations are crucial in maintaining the public health. So in today's webinar, with our panelists, of course, with the moderation of our CEO, Umutcan Duman, our panelists will be sharing their observations, their insights, and their future predictions about this crisis. And altogether, we'll be trying to answer these questions. The first one is that, will the pandemic have lasting impacts on the waste industry? And how can we handle them? And what key lessons can be learned from this crisis? And how can we turn these challenges into opportunities? So in the very first 30 minutes, we'll be listening to our panelists. And in the last 30 minutes, we'll be taking questions from our participants. So you can send your questions from the Q&A section down below. Please do not hesitate if you have any questions. So before leaving the stage to Umutcan, I would like to share a questionnaire with you. It's actually a single question. So it will pop up on your screens right now. I appreciate it if you can answer that question. So it must be on your screens right now. Yep, the results are coming, and I will share the final results with you, of course. Yep, I'm just ending the poll if everyone has answered. Okay. And I think you are also seeing the results from your screens too. Apparently we have like a well-distributed audience. We have people from waste management, NGOs, and we have some citizens here. So thank you, everyone. So that's all from me. Umutcan, the stage is yours now.
Thanks a lot, Duygu. Hello, everybody. This is Umutcan, one of the founders and CEO of Evreka. And thank you, our panelists, to take your time here and to share your experiences and vision with all the attendees and with us too. So I would like to shortly, briefly introduce our panelists coming from different countries, different sides of the world. So first of all, Eric is coming from the Netherlands. So he's he's the founder and owner of Clever consultancy company. So they are basically giving the consultancy to waste management companies from the technology point of view. And here we have Giulio Renato. He's coming from one of the Grupo Hera companies, and he is the head of planning and control and fleet operations. And he's coming from the financial background, so he's going to mention the financial effect of this COVID-19 situation. And I think, unfortunately, we have some connection problems with Mr. Mohammed Al-Harti, but he is the executive vice president of BEA and coming from Oman. So we have three panelists coming from different countries, different backgrounds. So we would like to combine all their experiences, all their backgrounds and vision within this 1 hour webinar. So first of all, I would like to start with a general question to you, gentlemen. So as the industry experts, and you see different situations, and what are the challenges that you are observing or that you are facing currently? So Eric, we can start with you if you like. So let's in 2-3 minutes summarize what we are seeing and what we are facing currently, and then I'm going to ask some specific questions to you. And by this time, we are trying to connect with Mr. Al-Harti as well. Thanks.
Yeah, what I think most important at this moment is that we see that we have to take care of the health and safety of the people who are working in the waste and recycling industry. And I think beside all the misery, what is happening in the world, there are also some positive effects. And for me personally, it's that in the Netherlands, the waste and recycling collection is a vital profession. So that's one of the professions which needs to continue due to the COVID-19 crisis. And I think that for the people who are really working in the waste and recycling industry, it's also an acknowledgement for their work. Because I know in a lot of countries and also in the Netherlands, people are sometimes looking a little bit down on people who work in this industry. But now we see in this period of time who are the really important people, like people in the hospitals, people in the waste and recycling, teachers. And what I hope is that after the crisis will end, that everybody still acknowledge the importance of their work. And besides that, I think that we really should take care of their health and safety. And what we, for instance, see at this moment in the Netherlands is that a lot of people who are now working from home also have a lot of time to clean up their houses. So they all drive to the waste disposal facilities, and there are lines for 2-3 hours. And well, that's very intense for the people who work there, because they have a lot of different people to contact, and not everybody is giving attention to the regulations. So I think that's important is to care about the people who do the job, and yeah, make sure that they are safe.
Thanks a lot, Eric. This is a crucial point. So because some people can stay at home, but some people has to continue working.
Yes.
And we need to take care of specifically health and safety issues for them. What about Giulio, Renato? What do you think? What kind of challenges are you facing in Italy?
Thanks to Evreka for the invitation. Sorry in advance if I will be very quick in replying, but my English is not so good. I think that the essential public services are those with the lowest impact, because they are fundamentally in daily life. My company, for example, manages the fleet and the waste containers of the Era Group. Is a group of 7 billion of revenue, and we had to quickly implement some practice to work safely. For example, remote working for employees and manager with strong impact. In my opinion, is positive. This, but it's very strong impact for the organization of business in a division that works in operational division. I think that another thing is the strong sanitation of vehicles, because we have 4,000 of light vehicles and trucks. This is a very strong activities with related cost. Another thing is the rethinking of shift for workers and who must maintain the fleet, because we have to repair and change our truck on cars, and we need the workers on the plant. So we need to use the mask and other things to reduce the the impact. And the last, but is very important, is the attention to spare part management, because, for example, in Italy we had a total lockdown, and there was a very delays of spare parts delivery. So regarding the waste collection, I can say only my opinion, because it's not my business field. I think that urban waste collection is constant, because the people are at home and other things. I think that the reduction came from the closing of bar or restaurant. But the real problem in waste management is the collection of the industrial waste. Because if you have a country with a total lockdown for 3 or 4 months and a very slow recovery, there is nothing to manage. There is not the waste, industrial waste to manage. So this is all for me.
Yes, thanks a lot, Giulio Renato. So you mentioned that this is one of the challenges that you faced in Italy, the spare part, because if there is any issue in your fleet, you need to change some parts, but because of total lockdown, this can be an issue as well. So we need to consider it too. So Mr. Mohammed Alarti, so I think there was a connection problem. I'm not sure if you can hear me currently. I think there is still little challenges. Yeah. So let us continue then. When Mohammed is joined again, then we can ask this question to him too, and then let's not stop here and continue. So, Eric, I would like to. Eric.
Yeah, I have some problems with my microphone. So if you ask me a question, I didn't hear it.
No, I didn't ask it, but I just wanted to check if.
Yeah, my
problem.
My mute was also.
Yeah. So I was going to ask you this, because I know that you have quite much experience in the technology side of waste management, like waste collection and cleaning operations, and you are observing quite different problems on field, specifically health and safety issues. So what do you think about technology? How technological solutions can help, or can it help to prevent any problems or solve those kind of problems specifically from?
I think there are, what I see in the Netherlands is that you see that some companies are quite mature with their level of technology. And I think that they, of course, experience all the issues just mentioned, but they were able to continue quite fast, and that was because of they were able to work from home. And so people from a customer contact center can work from home and have access to all their systems. That's like Giulio said about the people who work from a distance work from home. On the other hand, I see that regarding to what I just mentioned about the waste disposal facilities, that we see that also technology can help. For instance, we see a lot of companies in the Netherlands now introducing a reservation system, so that you have a time slot where you can access the waste disposal facility. So they have more influence on the line before the entrance. Normally, you don't have to make an appointment; you just go, and you see there a change where technology can help. Another customer of us, they have sensors all around the waste disposal facilities, so they can measure the waiting time, and they publish that on their website or device, so that people can see, okay, how busy is at this moment and when can we come. So I think for those parts, it's interesting to see how technique can help. For the collection of waste, we see that customers who have fill level sensors in their bins also have big benefits, because a lot of people are at home. So in the Netherlands, there is 25 more percentage of waste for the municipalities. So they can see how the fill rate is of their bins to act. And other companies who don't have those kind of instruments, they just start driving more and more around. So I think that technique can help the waste and recycling companies by just giving them the right information to act in a good way also for the employees.
Thank you. So as far as I hear from you, so one of the key issues is, I would say, the communication between different stakeholders of these processes. So who is going to bring the waste, who is going to dump the waste, whatever. So the communication can be done, can be managed by the technology, and also real-time data can help, can support the operations. I think Mohammed is here with us, right?
I'm here.
Perfect. Thanks. Welcome back again. So but unfortunately we didn't wait, but we started talking with Eric and Giulio. So let me summarize what we have done so far. So we started with a general question about the challenges that you guys are facing in your countries, in your operations, what you are observing around you. And then I was started with specific questions to each of you. But I would like to, before continuing that, I would like to hear your perspective on this situation. What are the challenges either you are facing with or you are observing around, specifically for waste collection and city cleaning operations? And what we are doing is, so 2-3 minutes for these general questions, and then 5 to 7 minutes for those specific questions. So Mohammed, if you can share your that with us, would be perfect.
Sure. Let me start with the first challenge. The challenge was getting into this webinar. So I had technical issues, but I finally managed. So I'm connected right now via my telephone rather than the computer. I had problems with that, so sorry for that problem. Anyhow, let me just give you a very quick overview. I represent BIA. BIA is a government company in charge of waste management in Oman. We are not in charge of general cleaning, but we are in charge of waste management services. That includes municipal waste services, that includes healthcare waste, industrial waste, and all sorts of waste streams. So our challenge comes in different forms, from one to another. Number one was, I think, in terms of preparation. Early on, we made sure that we had a proper business continuity plan for our headquarters to be operating properly. So this came to the test. We never thought that we will come to one day where we use that business continuity, but that's why they are there in the first place. So it worked out very nicely. We still face some challenges in terms of the technology, video conferencing and all of that. However, we're managing very well. Now, in terms of our services, we outsource all of these services. So we have different operators across the country. And I'm sure they will share the same challenges that my colleague from Italy shared initially, in terms of ensuring the safety of the workers, ensuring that they use proper protective equipment and all of that. And we have proper plans with them, ensuring that this happens. If you look at municipal waste probably is one of the issues where we ensure the safety of the workers in the first place, because we don't have much interaction with other people. So we need to ensure that the They keep a distance, they wear their PPEs, and they, the usual, not to touch their faces and all of that, ensuring that when they drop the waste goes directly without trying with less human interaction, basically. We don't have much of recycling industry yet in Oman. So this leaves out the issue of recyclables and whether we handle that with hands and everything. So that's not an issue at this point. We have healthcare waste operations, and we have 3 facilities treating healthcare waste. And this is another area where we're working very closely with the government, with Ministry of Health, because all the healthcare waste comes to Oman, to us in Oman, and we treat it. So we need to ensure that we have proper plans. But you know what? It's not different than any other issues that the healthcare waste sector faced in the past, because they had patients with HIV, they had patients with different sicknesses, and we had to deal with that in a different way. We have 2 ways of treating healthcare waste, one with incineration, and the other one is with autoclave. Industrial waste is purely industrial, and we at this point where we landfill some of that inorganic industrial waste, so there isn't much of an issue in there. I hope this gives you an overview of the situation in Oman.
Yeah, of course. Thanks a lot for the overview. So I would like to ask my specific question to Giulio. So I would like to continue with you. So I know that you are coming from the finance background. So I would like to ask you the financial effects on waste management sector, because we know that some of the sectors has quite big effects on them, like airlines, the restaurants, cafes. But what about waste management sector? What kind of cost-saving actions can be taken, or what kind of effects on waste management? You mentioned a little bit, but if you can go deep some, so we will be really happy.
Yes. Okay. I think that in my area, in my division, the cost item that we have seen reduced is fuel, but because due to shorter mileage and less stop and go, because in the city there is no traffic, and so the bigger truck that consume maybe around 1 or 2 km for liter, with an empty country, an empty city, it's simple. It is very nice, but because it's a very strong line of cost for us. The other activity, I think that the other activities continued as usual, and also the related cost, because we have to repair the car, repair the trucks, repair the waste container, because the city the lockdown don't stop this type of activities. But we are certainly delaying some maintenance work, and we have made use of holiday leave for non-operating personnel. But this is not a cost saving, but is a balance for monthly cash flow. But at the end of the year, if the emergency is over, the delayed activities will recover. The last point, I think that the reduction of investment, but it's not a very reduction, it's a delay, because if the town, if the city are locked, and with the municipality, we have to stop the project and to reschedule from in another month, maybe after the summer. This is what I see. I don't know what is the impact of waste management directly, because it's not my field. But I think the personnel, the investment are all the same in the other division of my company.
Yeah. So thanks a lot. So you basically say that. So of course there are some cost reductions, but this is not the reduction actions, but it is delaying the investment, delaying some operations for a couple of months. I don't know how much does it take, how much time does it take to get to the normal, but you are planning to continue all the investments, all the operations right after this period. So thanks a lot. And I would like to ask specific questions to Mohammed. So you mentioned, so you have different waste segments that you are managing in Oman, and you already have a plan. Luckily works for today's. So this is a nice thing. So if you can share some best practices that you are implementing from your plan. So what are the different things that you are implementing into day-to-day operations? So if you can mention some of those, would be perfect for us and for all attendees.
Very good. Well, we started early on working with the different operators. That was we needed to ensure that the services are uninterrupted at any time. So continuous services are there provided to the public, and we worked early on with the different providers, and we shared with them, or they shared with us also, their emergency response plans, and we're lucky enough to have professional operators from around the globe. So we have operators from Europe, from Spain, from Portugal, and France. So we were lucky to have all of these operators with such experience, and we are also a little bit of experience because Oman is a tropical storm-prone country. So we got hit with different hurricanes, if you want to call them, or cyclones. And we got to put these plans in effect with the operators in certain geographical areas in the country. So that was not a problem for us in general, except ensuring that the safety of the workers is taken care of in this time, because it's different than the other issues that we had in the past. And Minister of Health did a very good job in terms of awareness, what to be done, the distance that you keep between people and everything. So this came in very handy. For us, we have tested our business continuity plan internally. We have put it in place, and we tested it out. But now we got to test it live. So this worked out nicely. And probably for us, we don't run operations directly. We manage contracts. So this was a little bit easier for us because we did not have to be in the field. But probably more challenging for the different supervisors who are to supervise the different contracts around the country. I hope this answer gave you a good answer.
Yeah, of course. Thanks a lot. So we are almost done with the first 30 minutes, and we have some questions. But before that, this idea comes to my mind because in different parts of the world there are different experiences. Mohammed mentioned that we already have experienced challenging situations because of the thunderstorm kind of things, sands and everything. So maybe this can be an opportunity to combine all these best practices to share globally. Then we can say that, okay, whatever you have done in Italy, we can implement it in Turkey. Whatever you have faced in the Netherlands can be implemented in Malaysia, whatever. I think this can be an opportunity to combine our experiences and best practices to give the best service, I think.
If I may interrupt for a second, I would highly recommend visiting the International Solid Waste Association's website. They have a special section for COVID-19, and they also share best practices from around the globe. So I would highly recommend that you go there and visit. And the documents are readily available for everybody to download.
Perfect. So we are going to share the link with all the attendees as well. So everyone who wants to reach those documents can be easily find it. Of course, they can Google it themselves. So I would like to check the questions coming from the attendees. But if you would like to add something, currently you can add while I'm checking the questions. But you are seeing the questions as well, right?
I'm seeing, but I'm not sure these are for everybody or for myself only.
So everyone can see the questions, but we can pick and answer the question. So, for instance, one question for Al-Harti: how do you maintain your frontline workers' health and safety in this pandemic period? So, not your employees, but the contracted companies.
I think I've touched upon this. Just ensuring that they have less human interaction with others, and in terms of even the bags, PPE equipment. I've pointed some of these points early on.
Yeah. So you are trying to minimize the human interaction, and also they should use specific masks and gloves and everything to not to touch any surface, any waste material.
Distance.
Right? Yeah, to keep the
distance. When we go to the canteen, we have, for example, we have a table with two person with 1.5 meters the distance from one person, and before the coronavirus, we stay a lot of people in 10, 12 in a table. It's very, very hard to manage this type of activities, because you need the people, the employees don't stay in the office but at home, because the company, the office of the company is not. I have a small office, but for example, my girls, my guys that work with me are in 3 or 4 in the office. It's very hard to yes.
Yeah.
I also think that one of the challenges is to remain the social distance in the truck, in the cabin. So we see a lot of times that when there are 2 or 3 guys on one truck, one of them is driving the truck and the other 2 are just to the area where they have to collect the waste and then step up at the back of the truck. So to avoid that they will be in the truck too close to each other. So I think that's also one of the parts that you see that the distance is quite a challenge.
Yeah, that's quite important, because they have to get in the same.
Yeah.
Like somehow, even they need to touch each other maybe sometime.
Yes.
So I would like to take one other question from Sajadi Nos Habadi. I hope I can pronounce the name correctly. From Tehran municipality. What is the best way for disposing of the rubbish that contaminated with coronavirus? Do you have an answer for this? Do you have any experience? I think Mohammed.
Okay. Well, I'm not too technical. Probably my colleagues may be able better than me to answer that. But in general, Numan, we don't incinerate waste yet. We're working towards waste to energy and everything. Of course, incineration would kill everything. That could be the best option. But the landfilling is a safe option with us. We use engineered sanitary landfills, so there is no issue in terms of landfilling in Oman. There could be an issue for countries. We are not there yet, but countries where they do sorting, they do recycling, then it becomes more challenging, because there you would have to avoid manual sorting as much as possible and try to see to keep probably that waste for a while out there until you ensure that number of hours passed by, so contamination is less and less as an issue for people to get contaminated. But for us, landfilling is a good way for us. It's working very well.
Thanks a lot. So there was a question specifically for Eric. Do you think that the digitization of waste services has any speed up during this process?
I hope so. I think that what I mentioned before, that customers which are at a higher majority level of digitalization have some benefits at this moment. And I think that a lot of companies will be aware now that if they have to go and work from home or are more depending on information, that they should be prepared for that. And now for everybody, it was, I think in the most countries, from the one on the other day, there was a lockdown. So there was not a lot of time to prepare. And I think that if everybody can prepare, and hopefully we don't get another pandemic, but for any tropical sandstorm, that the digitalization will help. So I think it will increase.
Yeah. So hopefully it will improve all these processes. So this can be a opportunity for the whole sector.
Yeah, I think for just another example that what I mentioned before, the people who work at the customer contact center we're always working at an office, but you see that there are also possibilities to work from home, and that maybe give other people with a physical disability or children at home with school times also the possibility to have a job like this. So I think it's can give a lot of new challenges.
Yeah. So thanks for the answer. And there is one interesting question: do personnel get overpayment during the lockdown period? Coming from Zeynep or Ataf. So do you know any overpayment situation around you? Are you paying over to your employees? Giulio, you are mute.
No. In Italy, no. There is there is no this type of activity. No.
Okay.
Overpayment.
No, I haven't heard that in the Netherlands. No.
Not with us either, but see, we don't deal with workers directly. For us, in terms of employees, we ensured that they have a safe environment working from home without deducting any allowances, so they get full pay working at home.
Yeah. So there is a question from David Biederman. In the United States, many recycling facilities are installing plexiglass separators in between the sorters. So are similar physical separations being installed in Europe, Oman, or elsewhere? Do you have any information about this?
Let me first say hello to David. I hope everything is well with you. Thanks for the question. For Oman, I'm not sure to say whether we are fortunate or unfortunate that we are not in that stage yet. We don't have much of sorting happening in Oman at this point, at least manual sorting. So this is not something that we'll have to contend with at this stage.
So thanks a lot. Do you have any experience on that? Because I think no, because this part is out of your scope. But if you have anything to add on,
I've seen it in, like I mentioned before, in the truck cabin. There I saw the glass between the driver and the other guys. That is the only place I saw it. Not at waste disposal facilities or sorting.
Yeah. So it is like the taxi cabins.
Yeah, like that. Yeah.
So you will have different parts in the truck. There is a question about medical waste. By the way, we have quite a lot of questions. I would like to go one by one to answer them all if possible. But if not, we will share the questions with you and then collect the answers to share with all the attendees. So a dramatic increase in medical waste was reported in this period. Had you changed your ways of treatment to deal with this unprecedented rise? Let me first ask, is there a increase in medical waste amount? Because 2 weeks ago, there was another webinar we organized. And in that webinar, we had learned that there is no increase in medical waste in Turkey. But what is the situations in your areas?
I have no experience in that area. I don't know.
Okay. So let me give you. Yes, please,
there isn't much significant increase or growth that was reported as far as I'm concerned. But the challenge and the concern is with such waste not coming from the proper institutes, from healthcare waste institutes and others, because with the pandemic there is so much use of gloves, masks, and all of these items, and these could be contaminated, and they don't usually end up. A good number of them do not end up in the normal healthcare waste channels that we get from hospitals, clinics, and others. So this is where we have to be extra careful, and this would end up usually in landfills. So that's why I said we try not to keep distance between even the workers and the waste itself.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I'm just checking the questions. So what kind of data or KPIs would help the industry during the crisis? Of course, there are some KPIs, some data sets that you are checking all the time, or that the industry is checking and looking at. But are there any new KPIs that the industry is looking at? Like the distance and human interaction can be one of those. Is there any information coming from this side?
I think that in the Netherlands, the number of attendees on a waste disposal facility is quite important now to keep that on a certain level. That's one we have more questions about. On the other hand, you see that some KPIs are changing, not the KPI itself, but the measurements are changing, that there is less recycling. And of course, the amount of municipal waste is increasing and the amount of industrial waste is decreasing. But real new KPIs, I think, well, not specific for me.
Yeah, the number of people in one area can be.
Yeah, that's important. Yeah.
Yes, the same for us. I think that is the difference is the frequency of the reporting of for the board that ask every week to have something, some numbers to take to some number, like before I closing every month. Now I give highlights every week for type of KPIs, but the numbers, the KPIs are the same of before.
So you are checking more frequently,
yes,
than the previous period.
What interesting in the Netherlands, a couple of companies they stopped with the bulky waste service, also because then a lot of the employees has to take the waste in their hands. So they stopped with the bulky waste service, and then you see an increase in the number of fly tipping complaints. So and as the same as Julio, you see that there is normally you look once a month or once whatever to the numbers, and now you look almost on a weekly, sometimes daily basis what's happening.
Yes,
yeah.
For my side, daily is impossible, but weekly, yes, weekly. Yeah. Every Friday, every Monday, we look for fuel cost or maintenance cost or investment, some other thing.
Yeah.
Good. So there is a question from the chat, Bilge Öztürk from a municipality in Turkey. And the question is about the regulations. What do you think could be a new regulations for municipal waste collection? So after the COVID process, what can be changed from the regulations point of view? Maybe specifically Mohammed. So you can give some inside information about that.
The reason why I'm smiling, because the whole regulation, even before the pandemic, had to be changed. So all of our
maybe
legal
that's an opportunity.
So we've been working closely with the government in terms of ensuring that there is a proper policy in place. The regulations or the legal framework is up to date, tackling the issues that we had even before the pandemic. The pandemic is here right now, and I'm sure it is an eye-opener to other areas, and we will ensure that we will work closely to update whatever the latest version is and ensure that all of these issues are tackled in there. I think it would be mostly in terms of we would have to see how what do you call it, how affected waste or contaminated waste be treated. We know we already have a system in place for healthcare waste institutes. But we'll have to see how we can move this to the public. If there is somebody with certain diseases and everything, how do we handle that waste, separate it early on, and ensure we have a separate collection system to deal with that waste. So this is one of the areas that I could think of.
Thanks a lot. So I see that opportunity in the same perspective as well. Like this is an eye-opener situation if you look from the positive perspectives, because we were trying to change something, some status quo, but this is an opportunity to change what we would like to do. So let me check. Well, many questions. How do you manage the waste generated from the quarantine houses? Are these considered as medical waste? Are you doing like, or not you maybe, but the companies around you? Are you giving like door-to-door collection services to those houses? How do you manage?
If I may?
Yeah, please, whoever has the answer.
Sure, please. Okay. It is collected along with municipal waste. There is no separation currently. We tried early on working with we are working with the authorities, Ministry of Health, and they have certain guidelines, like for example, double bagging for houses where they have non-quarantined people, because so many of these cases were quarantined at home. So that was a guideline when it comes to Ministry of Health. So it goes out with the normal channel of municipal waste. Technology could be an answer in the future. We try to tackle this by probably creating hotspots, knowing where these homes are, and ensuring that we have special treatment when it comes to that waste coming from particular homes where we know that there are patients quarantined in these particular homes. It didn't happen. Maybe this is too short for this. Hopefully we don't have another pandemic, but this is technology probably to tackle other issues whenever we know that we have issues in certain areas, certain spots in the country.
So thanks a lot. So we have many questions and we have 10 minutes. So I would like to say that if you have anything to add, otherwise, please do. Otherwise, I would like to ask a kind of closing question. So what kind of new normal do you see in our sector? So what will be the new picture of waste management, waste collection globally? Like we, of course, mentioned different regulation issues. Are we going to change the things that we are changing for short term? Are we going to stick on that? Or are we going to come back to the old normal version of our lives from the waste management point of view? Not only from the companies or city authorities, but also from the citizens. How do you see the new world from waste management point of view? So if you can summarize around this question, it would be perfect. And then we are going to take all these questions to share with you. If you can share your quick answers we can share with our attendees afterwards as well.
Maybe Umut, because I also see a question about the perspectives on zero waste. And for me, I think that what I mentioned before, that at this moment, the level of recycling is quite low. But I hope that a lot of people now realize that we also have to treat the earth a little bit better. So a lot of people in my area, they say we hear the birds sing, we see more of the nature, we have more time to see. The earth is also giving us a signal that we have to treat it a little bit better. So I think that for waste companies, opportunity to share more of their thoughts about zero waste, because I think it also can help to avoid a crisis like a particular one, but that due to this kind of more important, and I hope that a lot of waste and recycling companies will give some extra effort on the zero waste. That's for me.
Thanks a lot. So
sure. It's the $1,000,000 question, if you may, because what will be the new norm? That is very.
Is it $1 million or $1 billion?
$1 billion. Now we don't talk six figures anymore. So, okay. Now the new normal, if you may. We do not know. Now the challenges on, for example, single-use plastic. We no longer have the normal single-use plastic anymore. Right now we have an issue with all of these masks, with all of these gloves, and all of these PPEs that are being discarded publicly sometimes. So this will be the current challenge. Now in the future, our life will change for sure. I think we will move towards distance learning in terms of children, and we'll move towards working from home a lot. And how will this change in terms of our behavior? How much will our waste grow in our households, since we're spending more time in our households? Our mobility could be less. So how will this change as well in terms of mass transport, public transport? In terms of using normal vehicles or using autonomous vehicles, moving towards these technologies. So we're yet to see, but we have to remember it has been always evolving. I mean, our waste today is not the same waste that we had 10 years ago. Plastic got introduced probably somewhere in the beginning of last century, so it was never there before. So we will have to keep up with all of these changes. This is part of life, and we'll have to keep up. We have to be wary and prepare ourselves.
So we need to be ready for the change. It's always here. So Giulio, your closing sentences.
Regarding the waste zero waste agenda, I think that I'm totally agree that with who talk about a circular economy. So we have the humanity need to move from linear to circular economy, but in a short period. So if I look what happened in this period, in strategic, my company goes in like the past. I don't see the change in strategy, but I see only tactical choice, because I think that this is a different period, but it is a period that can help us to understand what's happened, but is a period. I don't know, like I say, there is no a line in the temple of this period, because it's impossible to think that I can give a hug to my friend and to go always with the mask in the street. And I think this is early to say if what happened in the strategic of the big company or the small company. Now everyone go to take tactical decision, shift the investment, wait, but I don't see a change in this way in this matter. So, but I think that in the waste collection in every part of the world, because Italy in the north is different than south, but we need to balance the waste management because the earth need.
Yeah.
So
thanks a lot, Giulio. So thanks a lot, everybody, Eric, Mohammed, and Giulio, and all the attendees. I think when I look at my notes, the most important issue during this period is the health and safety of all the workers on fields. And then, of course, we need to change. We need to adapt to change in day-to-day operations to cover what we need to cover on different areas, regardless of the type of the waste. And we have learned today different experiences and different perspectives coming from different countries and different approaches. And we are going to keep organizing these kind of events to let you share your experiences and let us learn from your experiences. So thanks a lot once again. I think Duygu has something to share because she's
Thank you, finally.
So thanks a lot once again for all the panelists and all the attendees. This was a pleasure for me to host you here. And Duygu, floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you. So thank you everyone for joining us today. I have another question for you. So you'll be seeing that one on your screens right now. So I appreciate if you can answer this question. And by the way, thank you so much again for your time. If you would like to rewatch this session, you can find it on our YouTube channel. And please do not forget to check your mailboxes because more news will be coming from our side. So yep, I'm seeing the results right now. Let me wait for a couple of seconds and then I'll end the poll. Yep, I think almost everyone will answer this question.
yes,
Perfect.
it's
Yep.
a good question.
Yeah, hosts and panelists cannot vote.
Yep, I'll share the results with you right now. And yes, the question was, do you think the use of tech will add significant?
I would like to know who is the no.
Yeah, one person thinks no. But
Oh yeah.
thank you, everyone.
So thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you. Please keep safe and have a good day. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Take care. Thanks all.
Stay safe. Bye.